But what's up at Alchem Labs? That's the question we are posing to Dr. Vikas Gupta. He's, of course, the CEO who's joining us on the show. Vikas, hi, good to be speaking with you. Firstly, let's start with the domestic growth. We understand that this time the acute season sale had been weak for the entire industry. What's been your experience and how's the trend expected to shape up when it comes to acute sales?
So we are largely an acute company, and in acute we have seen that a large part keeps fluctuating the way market behaves. So we saw sluggish growth during this year, for our acute business, but we are pretty bullish about that business because there's a lot of emphasis even from the government side in bringing a large part of population, to the healthcare, infra, the way it is beefing up. So we are pretty confident that going forward, we will see uh, quite strong growth, even on the acute side. So that remains our key portfolio, and I'm sure, we are pretty hopeful, very bullish about it.
Right. Dr. Gupta, let's talk about the domestic part of the story. Market loves your domestic, piece of the business, and you've been posting either at par or higher growth than the sector in the domestic side. Talk to us now that increasingly more players are looking because this high growth, low on the regulatory side. How's the outlook from here on?
I guess domestic is one of the most resilient markets, that I have seen across the globe. And the India story, the way it is unfolding, I'm sure most of the large players, will record very good growth from the domestic market side. So on domestic, there are two components. One is the branded generic business, and on the other side, we have the trade generic business. So we have this unique, play where we are in top five on the branded generic space, whereas we are the largest on the trade generic business as well. So I guess domestic is going to continue to register strong growths, and more so for us, because this is our home market, this is our core market, and our focus has been very high on this business. So I think this is going to be one of the key growth drivers for us even in times to come. The way market is moving, you see some years because of the price regulation, the market sees a high price growth impact, and some years when the price growth is not given on the NLEM portfolio, there is slightly sluggish growth, but we see volumes, going up, being a very price sensitive market. So I do not foresee any challenges on the domestic growth side. So I'm sure coming years, the kind of focus that more and more companies are putting in, that's because of the opportunity that the domestic market brings along with it.
Talk to us about how the margin scenario is actually panning out, because for heightened regulatory side and even on the raw material side, there has been a lot of volatility. How are things shaping up now on the margin front? Have they bottomed out, and does it have an upward bias from here on, or can't say for sure?
So I see, I'm quite bullish on the margin profile now. If you see, especially for us, uh, I would break our raw material pricing, the API pricing, into two components. One is the PenG, component, which is, we are actually one of the largest consumers of PenG, where I see the pricing is at its peak. So it can only come down, and once we see one large Indian API player, coming into the market, I expect the prices to soften down, which should have a very, good impact, but it will pay out when it will play out. So we see the prices softening on that front and contributing to the bottom line. On the other portfolio, the kind of upside that we had seen during COVID, the whole supply chain and the whole margin profiles, that we were seeing going up, I think that has stabilized now, and we are back to the pre-COVID times. We are back to the normalcy. So, for all there is no reason for prices to really go up unless the whole macroeconomic or the geopolitical environment changes drastically. Still most of the companies have a large dependence on China, for their API, and as more and more Indian players are going to enter into this market, we see that dependence coming down over a period of time. And I think that should make us more Atmanirbhar, and the pricing, will also be much better in times to come. So I guess on the margin profile side, that's one part of our story. Plus, even on the cost control, I think internally we have taken a lot of measures, and that has resulted in significant improvement in our margin profile. Now we see it stabilizing more or less, at this level, or going up from here even in times to come. So I think that's my view on the overall margin profile.
Talk about the US FDA inspection, which was done at your Baddi facility, and you received 10 observations. You did mention that no issues were relating to data integrity, but is that possible for you to share any more details than that? And when is it that you expect to hear back from US FDA after submitting your response?
So we have already submitted the response to all the observations. Like we said earlier, there has been no data integrity observation, that we have received. For the past 20 years or so, we have been audited almost 25 times, and touch wood, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We have an impeccable record of not receiving even one, warning letter, so to say. So I'm pretty hopeful that our teams have, submitted the responses to the way we have submitted the responses to US FDA. We are waiting to hear back from them, and I'm sure, we will fully comply and, make sure that we do all the necessary actions, that are required to overcome, those procedural issues. So that's my take.
You come out of this issue as well, but just Vikas, a quick word in terms of the big launches which are lined up ahead, and what do you think would drive the next leg of growth for you?
So if I look at the company's journey, in the last many years, we've had significant growth in terms of top line. Now from here on, there are few areas, which are really important for us. One, on the international business side, which is today contributing to almost 30% of our revenue. Still there is a rest of the world market where there is a huge headspace, where is headroom available for us to grow. So international market side, especially the rest of the world, the non-US markets, which continue to grow pretty strong for us, will be a key growth driver. Domestic market, as I said, domestic market is going to be our prime focus. We will continue to grow strong in our domestic market. If you look at the other opportunities in terms of biosimilars, we are doing pretty well as far as the biosimilar market is concerned. So on the biosimilar space, we are pretty bullish. We are pretty hopeful, not only in India but even on some of the international markets. We will be having our CDMO play very shortly as far as the biosimilar market is concerned. So that will continue to be a very important growth driver for us in times to come. So this is how we are looking at, even on the US market side, the kind of pricing pressures that we used to see in the past. I think that has eased out. We are seeing good growths coming out of US market also now. So I guess the way the prices were eroding in the US market, I think that has stabilized.
Sure.
So that is, I'm sure that's a trend being seen by most of the generic players in US. So I'm pretty bullish that in times to come, I think the overall growth drivers will be pretty much intact on the way we are moving.
Yes, US pricing erosion has abated, and that's good news. But just a couple of questions as far as your biosimilar business is concerned. What could that scale up to? What is the revenue potential there? And any inorganic opportunity that you're eyeing to further augment your growth?
Yeah, so I would not put any number guidance onto a particular line of business, but the kind of opportunity that exists, there are immense examples in the US market, in terms of various players like WuXi and other companies, who are there, who have had significant, upside, but who have significant play on the biosimilar market side, in US. So we are pretty bullish about, on the biosimilar opportunity size. Coming to your other part of the question, we have good cash on our balance sheet. and any inorganic opportunity, that comes at the right price and that really makes sense for us strategically. We are pretty open. In fact, we are looking at various opportunities in the market that are available, and see to it that can we look at the inorganic play as well to boost our growth even further. So that's something that really we're working on.
Okay, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Vikas, for taking the
you so
time out and speaking with us today. That's the view
Thanks.
coming in from Alkem Laboratories. Let's just bring up that stock price. Holding up pretty okay, about 0.7%.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.